Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. You've heard the saying everything in Australia wants to kill you, and honestly it's not that far off. The country has more deadly venomous species than almost anywhere on Earth, including all of the world's top 11 deadliest snakes. You've got the classics like saltwater crocodiles, great white sharks, spiders the size of your hand, and even the cassowary, one of the only birds known to occasionally kill humans. But what if I told you that as scary as modern Australia is, it's actually the tame version? That's right, if you go back about 50,000 years, right around when the first humans arrived, you'd find an Australia that makes today's look like a petting zoo. This was a land ruled by giant reptilian predators and mammals that were just as terrifying. So let's take a trip back to the real land of Nope. First up on our tour of prehistoric terrors is the Quinkana. This wasn't some crocodile look-alike. This was a genuine, real-deal crocodilian that happened to live and hunt on land. Paleontologists figured this out by looking at its legs, which were surprisingly long, holding its body high off the ground. Its toes even looked a bit like hooves, suggesting this thing was built to run, maybe even sprint. And it was no small fry. Most adults were around 10 feet long and weighed 440 pounds, but some absolute monsters reached 20 feet in length. The worst part? Its teeth. They weren't the cone-shaped crushers you see on modern crocs. The Quinkana had ziphodont teeth, flat, sharp and serrated blades, just like a T-Rex. It was designed to slice its prey up. And just to make it extra terrifying, there's evidence it was also a good swimmer. So no escape on land, no escape in the water. Good luck. If a land croc wasn't enough for you, how about the largest terrestrial lizard ever known? You might have heard of it as Megalania, but its proper name is Varanus priscus. Yep, that means it was a giant species of monitor lizard, basically a Komodo dragon the size of a rhino. The size estimates for this thing are just insane. At a bare minimum, we're talking about a lizard over 11 feet long and weighing 350 pounds. But some studies, scaling up from fragmented fossils, suggest it could have reached a mind-blowing 26 feet and weighed up to 2 tons. Like its modern relatives, it had razor-sharp teeth and powerful claws. And here's the real kicker. Since all living monitor lizards are now considered venomous, it's almost certain Megalania was too. Its venom likely worked as an anticoagulant, preventing blood from clotting. So even if you managed to escape an initial attack, you were still doomed, slowly bleeding out while this giant lizard patiently tracked you down.
Got a fear of snakes? Well, prehistoric Australia had something for you too, the Wonambi. This was a giant serpent from an extinct family of snakes called the Madsoiidae. It could grow up to 20 feet long, putting it on par with a large Burmese python.
Massive, blade-like
Now, the good news is it wasn't venomous.
Slicing through tissue
The bad news? Its eating habits were pure nightmare fuel. Like modern constrictors, it would ambush prey near water and squeeze it to death. But here's the horrifying twist. Its jaws were relatively inflexible, so it couldn't swallow large prey whole. To get around this little problem, it would use its sharp teeth and powerful body to literally tear chunks off its victims, sometimes even disemboweling them in the process. It's a gruesome thought, but some researchers believe this might have been a fairly common fate for early humans. So with all these killer reptiles running around, how did any mammals survive? Simple. The mammals were just as crazy. Meet the Thylacoleo, often called the Marsupial Lion. It was Australia's largest ever mammalian predator, with the biggest ones reaching the size of a modern lioness. But this was no cat. Its closest living relative is, believe it or not, the koala. Don't let that cute connection fool you. The Thylacoleo had the strongest bite, pound for pound, of any known mammal ever. Its skull was built to accommodate massive jaw muscles, allowing it to bite with the force of a lion 2.5 times its size. Its teeth were also unique, with giant blade-like premolars that worked like shears. It could kill large prey in under a minute by piercing deep with its incisors, while those premolars sliced through the windpipe and arteries. As if that wasn't enough, it had a massive retractable claw on its semi-opposable thumb, perfect for slashing prey or for climbing trees to stash its kills, much like a leopard. At this point you might think, okay, I'll just avoid the predators. Bad idea. In a world with super predators, even the herbivores had to be hardcore. You had the diprotodon, the largest marsupial of all time. Picture a wombat, but the size of an Asian elephant, weighing almost 4 tons. It was a plant eater, but its bite was still strong enough to break a human femur. Then there were the birds like Genyornis. These were flightless thunderbirds that stood over 6.5 feet tall and weighed 1/4 of a ton. Even if they didn't want to eat you, you wouldn't want to make one angry. So let's recap. You've got land crocs that can outrun you, venomous lizards the size of cars, giant snakes that tear you apart, and marsupial lions with bolt-cutter teeth. And don't forget, all the dangerous animals from today's Australia were probably around back then too. It was an impossibly hostile world. And yet, this is the exact environment the first humans walked into. They didn't just survive, they thrived, eventually becoming the apex predator and hunting many of these megafauna. It really makes you wonder, in a land full of monsters, maybe the scariest one of all was us. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments which of these prehistoric beasts you think is the most terrifying. If you thought this trip back to prehistoric Australia was as wild as I did, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.